Hi, family. My name is Brendon. I'm an addict. Before I start, I'd like to have a moment of silence for two people. Kevin, that died with 24 years clean, that was here 42 times, that taught me how to Ripley. And his ashes are in that first lake up there. We had his service in this room here with his family. Real special to visit him here twice a year. I like to say the dead's name, because I keep their memory alive like that, and I don't want to forget anybody. I also want to have a moment of silence for a young man named Isaac, who came here the past about 6 conventions, and he was in the WE, and he went off alone and died alone from this disease since the last convention. He was from Pikeville, Kentucky, young man. We're lucky, we're blessed to be here. Thank you. I do have a NA sponsor who has an NA sponsor who has an NA sponsor who has a crazy-ass NA sponsor. I got in that tree, so I wasn't the only one with ADD really bad. They taught me it was addict deficit disorder. Yeah. He also taught me that a short chair is like a mini skirt. It's long enough to cover the important stuff, but short enough to keep you interested. So I'm going to try to follow that if I can. Took me a long time to get here. And I always hear speakers say, well, I'm not going to do a drug-a-log, and it turns into a drug-a-log. I really don't want to do that. But I would like to talk about where the disease took me and that the alternative was already there. I'm the youngest of 4. A newcomer asked me recently, he said, the literature says something about many of us realized the disease was present before the drugs, and I'm one of those. It was, I like to be hyperventilated. I liked my cereal was all sugar. I liked to be dizzy. I was just a thrill seeker, and I really liked what I wanted when I wanted it. Yeah. And I really liked being the youngest, because my parents regretted the way they were corporal punished the oldest ones, and I didn't have any of that. I was exempt from all that, and I was an ingrate from the get-go. I said, I'll never see the end of the belt, or you're going to see the end of the hammer, Dad. Can I have $40? That's the type of kid I was. I was a total, I was a sociopath before the drugs, But there was some goodness in me, and people saw that, and I'm grateful for people that have known me my whole life, because they remind me of that. I have a friend who lives in Hollywood, and he just wrote a screenplay, and he said he dismissed me in the 8th grade because he could tell where I was going, and he removed himself from me, and he came back to my life after I had years clean, and he loves me, and he says the lead character is somebody that everybody likes and something like that, and guess what his name is? It's Brendon. And I can't take that stuff. I say, well, do I get a cameo role? Instead of saying thank you, I'm being facetious. But that's really cool. I think what I'm trying to recover is that kid that there was some goodness in, and my family loved me, and they divorced, and I used that the way the game started, the manipulation, the back and forth. Want what I want when I want it, and the drugs were soon behind it. And since I was 11 years old, I didn't go a day not incarcerated that I wasn't putting something in my system. I never put down one unless I had a combination or something stronger, and in the end it was just the deadlier the better. They would say, what's your drug of choice? I said, it would definitely be water soluble. And so my mother lovingly, I want to say Happy Mother's Day, because that love my mother shows me is unconditional. And I hope your mother loved you like that too. Or maybe your love for her is unconditional, no matter where she is or where life's taken her. But I always say in meetings, I say, she's put up with things for me that none of you guys would. It would be, this is I would put her through a meat grinder. I had her in bondage with me with this disease. She's been in recovery in Nar-Anon and Al-Anon for almost 40 years, because I made some people real sick. I say this isn't contagious, but I make other people really sick. And you can see that if you're coming back from a relapse, if you see what you've done to us when you do that. Breaks my NA heart to see people do that, to piss away the lottery. I need to be here tonight because I'm usually on a soapbox. I have a lot of good days in a row, but I'm going through stuff and a lot of feelings, and I knew I'm going to cry, and I've been on the verge of crying for 6 months, and I just can't do it because I got to suit up and show up and be that warrior. I got to save the world or something, and sometimes I just need to feel stuff. Sometimes it takes a funeral for me to really just purge all that sadness, and it's not just the person in the coffin, it's everything, because it's overwhelming. When I forget that 11th step, I forget to breathe. I try to chalk off my ride to work as my 11th step or 5 minutes in the sauna or something, and that's not it. I need to really, I need to slow down a little bit. Boy, no one ever told me to be louder. I'm a loud motherfucker. Bring it. So my mother was the more stable of the two parents. My father was a businessman and a career man and a drinker, and my mom was the worried woman. She had a hysterectomy when I was about 6, and it triggered this bipolar disorder. It was extremely hard to deal with her. She was really, it was half empty and everything, the past, dwelling on the past. I had a real hard time dealing with her, but she loved me the whole time, and I spent my youth overdosing on anything I could get. I've had my stomach pumped several times. I've had more charcoal than an aquarium pushed through me, It was that talked about it in the literature. I'm like, how do they know that? The feeble attempts at suicide and all that stuff. Wow, it's just from the beginning I was a mess. But she had me arrested. I used to run away with people. I'd be in New York City. I learned how to hustle. I learned how to trick. I learned how to do all that shit really young, 14, And my dad would always fly me back, It's like a game. But she had me incarcerated a lot, and finally had me put in this rehab back in the 80s when rehabs were everywhere. It was kind of like watching these programs now, like, come to us, we've got the solution. Aromatherapy is the cure or something, But I went to this very expensive rehab, and they took me to a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. And even in addiction, I was just getting started. But I started having this little sense of these heroes that were there, and I watched them. I interviewed you people for 20 years before I grabbed a seat. And the one I was watching, because I'd see NA people all the time in my addiction, and I was really awkward, and I would just say, how's so-and-so, or what are they doing? They're like, well, they're still up there at the home group. They're still, I'd take notes, and there's an addict that was in the same rehab with me in 1984. I was in the little kids unit. He was at the adults, and he found that same meeting, and he hasn't found it necessary to pick up in 26 years. And he's sitting right here as my fucking hero. It's not pedestals or anything, but I gotta have heroes today. My heroes as a kid were rock stars that died by 27, Charles Manson, crazy shit, like what the fuck? You know what I mean? I liked anything against the system because I was at odds with myself and my fellow human beings. I hated society, and I really was scared when the meetings would talk about productive members of society. I thought, what does that mean? I thought that meant a picket fence, and I didn't want that. I was a transgressive person. I was a chameleon too. I was a punk rock. I was the punk rockest punk rocker ever. Enter the Grateful Dead. Then I was that. That's one extreme to another right there. I did that for many years, and I thought what I found there was acceptance and love and stuff, but that was not reality. What I found, that feeling I found here, and it is reality. I mean, it's overwhelming. It is. Words can't express the way that I feel here in Narcotics Anonymous. I wish I could express it, and people try, but it's a feeling. I can't put words on it. Language falls short to express that. Didn't sit still. Did 90 meetings in 20 years. That's not funny, that's horrible. I only went because I had to get a paper signed to remember some of that four-step nonsense so I could write it on my meeting reaction sheets for my probation officer, or I had an ankle bracelet with GPS and they had to see where I was going. I was going there to find the weakest link to take out with me. I was there to find people that wanted to help me that I took advantage of. I lived in their house. I got their roommates high. I stole their cars. I stole their money. He's not here today. He's one of my heroes. He loves me. This addict loves me, and I completely brought him closer to the disease than he's been in his almost 20 years clean. I was an instant sociopath. Just put one in me. There go all the morals. There goes everything. No remorse, nothing. The only thing that I had this parodies that talks about, like, I was really a good friend. I was kind and caring and all this stuff, and I had a real hard time knowing I had any assets because those were all tools to the trade. The nice stuff in me, that was masks that I could wear to get in your life, in your car, your PIN number, your mother's wedding ring, your traveler's check, whatever. I did an exorbitant financial amount of harm to people. But in the course of that, I went to 5 high schools, never finished the 10th grade. I went through 6 inpatient rehabs. I checked in to 13 detoxes. I never finished one. I detoxed so many times in the jail. I've been to 2 clinics. I was on a research study for the new cure that's popular right now. A lie. Some people it's better than nothing. One of my other heroes is in San Francisco. She was in a documentary that they show people in rehabs. It was 3 years in her life. It was a train wreck. It was a tragedy. And the only time she had you could see her was when they'd interview her in jail. And she would say, I just want to be a mom someday. Even if I don't have a husband, I want to go to school and be a mom. And she's like 14 years clean now, and she runs an agency in San Francisco, and she was the Narcan lady, and she was the mobile methadone clinic, and she'd wear a little NA symbol, and that was the door. And people would talk about that, then she could talk about recovery and stuff. But some people aren't this lucky. Most people are going to die from this disease, so I have to be open-minded to that. Needle exchange, harm reduction, whatever. But what works for us here in Narcotics Anonymous is total abstinence, unbelief or not. And I'm not talking about other diseases. I'm talking about for the disease of addiction, the only thing is nothing. I wasn't a good candidate for those programs, those clinics, because they only give you one. And I'm like, what am I getting? If I had the willingness to do one a day, I got the willingness to quit and stay stopped. I just was incapable of that. That was my crutch. I was one of those detox spin dryers. I'd go in there to get some help and to stop, but I'd convince myself I'm just here to lower my tolerance because maybe this shit will finally kill me. Because I had this problem the whole time. It was jails and institutions, and my solution was death. And I just was one of those people that I was a hope-to-die junkie and I couldn't die. And I had acceptance of that. I had some twisted ideas of the first step. I knew that I'm powerless, and my life is completely unmanageable. And I didn't have it. I didn't have anything light left in me. And it was, I wasn't one of those sad sack people. I was one of those fun people because I needed to entice people to bring them into my world so they could finance the next run. And it wasn't the end of my using. It was the last 10 years of my using. I looked like a cadaver. I've got a picture on my phone. It's not who you're looking at right now. They look at me now like, what did this guy use? I'm like, God, if you only knew how fucked up I was. I thought I was good. I thought I looked good. I was like, heroin chic, that's the look. I was like, I was going to Hollywood. So I lived in New York City. I lived with someone who worked in entertainment. I lived in a condo. I ended up preferring to live in a cardboard washer and dryer box. It was like a duplex. in Astor Place. The yuppies would bring me Thanksgiving dinner. I thought I had it going on. I had Evian water. We had a feather mattress. I was with ex-rock stars. I thought I had it going on. Talking about this distorted thinking, you know. It was winter in Manhattan. I slept in front of NYU under they had some benches that blew steam out from under them. We would think we would do enough dope. We thought we were in the tropics, you know. I mean, crazy stuff, you know. This whole time, there was mom and dad at home waiting for that phone call. For years, I did this to them. And my last use wasn't my worst. It wasn't the biggest habit. It was just that spiritual bottom where I was done. I did a couple days. I did 60 days in jail. Got it in there were other cities. I could talk for years about the places I went. California, I lived in New Orleans. They told me in New Orleans, plane, train, or bus, you got to go. And I'm like, this is New Orleans. I'm getting kicked out of New Orleans because I party too much. But a lot of places. I love Ripley too because there was a kid I met on the train back. I wanted to take the train so I could like have a bathroom and all that stuff. I met this kid and I convinced him he wanted to try what I'm doing because it's great. And he did, and then I went back to the train station, stole his backpack with his checks, his parents' check. We wrote some checks on him, never saw him again. And that stuff I turned him on to turned up kicking his ass, and he ended up here at Ripley, West Virginia. He lives in Cleveland. I'm from Cincinnati. I see him here, and I love this guy. I wish he was here today. He's here usually every time. He wears a skirt at Halloween, too, you know. I had to dress like a Hooters chick to get up here. I was about to rock it today, too. Ivan's still wearing the tights. So I got out of that jail, 60 days. I thought I was successful because I wasn't going to prison. See, I'm just getting misdemeanors now. I was getting good at it. And truth be told, I'd rather be in the penitentiary than the county jail any day, you know. And the penitentiary was the only normal life I ever had in my life since I was a kid, because my life was being managed for me, and I forgot I was an addict. I didn't really use in there. Kind of used successfully. I was scared. And I got 4 penitentiary numbers. I was in 3 states. And the stuff I believed, once you're in the system, you're always in the system. I believe that stuff. You know, it's a life sentence, and that's the lie. The lie is dead. Once an addict, always an addict. That's not true. I'm living proof. So I went to this religious-based treatment center, thrift store, something, and the good intended people, and they had AA, NA, Promise Keepers, Purpose Driven Life, Overcomers Anonymous, church. They had all this stuff going on. And I could go to all those groups and get something and feel pretty good. And, hey, yeah, I'm not going to use and stuff. But I was all across the board. What I needed was a program. And I saw that addict that introduced me picking up this guy who's still here clean with me. They had a baby this week, and he's not here today. But I love him, and I followed this guy. And started getting rides, going to meetings. He got kicked out of that place. I left early, but I left so I could go to the transitional house where I could go to Narcotics Anonymous meetings every day, uninterrupted. I didn't have to wake up in the morning and sing somebody's hymns or any of that stuff they wanted me to do. I got to suit up, show up, go to NA, get a job, and do the deal. And I had a hard time at first. I wanted it, but I was scared to death of you people. I didn't want to ask for a ride. I took the bus, and I was blessed with a car. Pretty early on, it was a family friend. It's kind of like I've got a bunch of other fathers, and I came down here to Ripley from there. They gave me a pass because I didn't have any tickets. I told the director of that program, I said, I've never had a ticket in jail or rehab ever, and I wasn't in the choir in there either. You know what I mean? Never had a write-up. I wasn't good. I was slick. But this time I was actually doing good. I was doing the right thing. I was going to meetings. I didn't have his old phone numbers. I was in the skillet. I was across the street from drug activity, but my eyes were on Narcotics Anonymous. I went to these meetings, and I came out here by myself it was a fall convention. This is my This is my 14th one here, like 13th, I take that back. And I came here, and I came to the speaker, and went to the dance started, and I got the hell out of here, you know. This was soon after I went to Tar Hollow, and that was what, I swear that's what kept me here. I feel it like I feel it in here. I feel it. It's just, I can't explain it. But I had 90 days clean there as an addict right there, one of my bosses, one of my spiritual guides. And they were like, just clean time just tears me up. And I'm crying. I really know I'm there. I really know I'm done. I'm not questioning that. And she said, stay to me. And that was huge, you know. And then I came here, but I was by myself, and I didn't know you people, and I knew a couple of you. And I got out of here, and I drove home. It was deer season, and it was like it took me 6 hours to go 3 hours. It was like playing Frogger or something. There were deer I was like in a Stephen King hallucination. God was telling me, you should have stayed back at that convention, you know. But that's why I'm really going up to people during the dance and stuff that are outside, and I don't know the hokey pokey, and I don't know, but they all know each other, and they're all getting girls and all whatever the disease. It'll use that. I go to marathon meetings at these conventions. People are always talking about, God, I want to eat a gun. I'm having such a horrible time, and that's what the disease wants us to do. You're single you out. You're not at home and whatever. So it's my job. It's my job. It's my gift. And I'm aware of that. That's part of God's will for me, is to be that guy, you know. There's a guy here today, and I can't see him right now, but we made a deal. There's one guy here that I made a deal with 2 years ago. I said, I'm going to see you in 6 months here, and you'll have 7 months clean. And now he's got 2 years clean. And there's a guy here with 10 days today, and I'm going to see him here in the fall with 6 months clean. I know you can do it. We can do this, you know. But I was talking about that addict that died. He went home alone and got away from the pack. Everything I say up here, I got from you guys. I didn't pen any of this stuff. I coin one thing and I'll claim it, and that's it. But I can, if I'm saying something that you said, thank you. It's like that quilt. That's what my recovery's like. I got little pieces of people I don't even like or give me stuff I use on there, you know? And it's mine. It's my steps. That's what it is, my journey with my sponsor through the 12 step and application of them. Not academia, but application. And I try that to the best of my ability. And there's 2 rules that my sponsor said. He did a workshop here a couple years ago on guidelines, and he told me, you know what the guidelines are? For you, for the addict, is don't use, keep coming back. Well, what about steps? Oh, you'll get that if you keep coming back. You'll get that network, sponsorship, service, fellowship, literature. Just keep coming back, you know. And so no matter what, you know, no matter what. I left that place at 90 days, went back to my mother's house, and my whole life she was taking care of me, and I had. That people's like, you can't, first they said you can't leave that rehab, you never finished anything, you're going to use. You guys told me that's not true. I didn't use. They told me, oh, you can't go back to where you used, you go to your mom's house. I said, I used everywhere. I used at every drive-through, every bathroom where I could put my foot on the door. I used in every car wash. I mean, what am I going to do? Move away? I use there too, you know? I mean, seriously. So it's like, what are you going to do? You know, wherever I go, you know. But what's cool now, wherever I go, Narcotics Anonymous goes too. We're everywhere. Yeah. So that addict, he said, I had 90 days clean, 90 days clean thereabout. I was at a party at some addict's house, and he gave me a 20th anniversary, you know, numbered edition, and you know, and he said, if you can stay clean for a year, I'll take you to the world in Hawaii. And I said, you just got fleeced because I'm staying clean, yeah. So I went to the World Convention in Hawaii, and I called my sponsor who didn't go, and I'm like, will you be my sponsor long distance? I'm moving to Hawaii. You know, I was at meetings on the beach. I'm a server. I'll get a job at one of these restaurants. You know, this is where I want to be. But he reminded me something. He says, well, you got There's people here that you used to use with that aren't here yet, and some of them are here yet. And bless your family, you know. And that was true, and it's proved true. I witness miracles. That's why I go to these meetings. I don't go to these meetings I don't use every given day. I go there to witness this miracle. There's an addict who's not here today who I love, who is from a very rural area, from deep holler, Kentucky, who is 9 years clean, who's picking up her law degree today. A fucking lawyer. When she got here, she needed a lawyer. She's going to be a lawyer today. I mean, that's a miracle. That's not in the cards for me. I told you I'm a 4-time loser. I got violence, got trafficking, all this stuff. The only thing good about my record is how old it's becoming. You know, my credit numbers are even good now. I never get credit. I couldn't even get credit from the dope boys. You know. So, talk about some things. There's an addict that isn't here yet. I'm like, here's what the thing, my brilliant thing, a coined phrase that I own is, there's this guy and he's still caught up. He just can't get it. And he was in a treatment center this week. Somebody brought dope in and 7 of them used. The rest of them were alcoholics, but they were using this drug too. They OD'd and stuff. But anyway, he said he hung out with me and my sponsorship family, my rocks, who I don't really hang out with that much because I'm doing trench warfare. I'm hanging out with people that can barely pass a piss test, but I got these people that have decades clean. And he was around them. He said, man, this is like organized clean time. And I'm like, that's why they're the clean time cartel. And that's what I'm in. So whenever it's something like Kurt's gonna speak, he's like, well, what does the cartel say? Yeah. So you gotta kiss the ring. Yeah. That's the only thing I came up with. You know, the rest of it's just potty mouth, silly humor and stuff. I don't have any really funny stories, you know. But I want to talk about the spirit of gratitude. Comfortable in my own skin. You know, I didn't want to be a dropout. I didn't want to be gay. I didn't want to be not liked. I didn't want to be alone. But a lot of that stuff, some of that stuff I didn't have to be, and some of that stuff I just was. And I had to get with that. I came to Ripley. I was talking about Ripley. I said, this is going to be some Ku Klux Klan. My mom's from Charleston, though. I mean, I'm West Virginia roots, but I thought Ripley, West Virginia. She used to take a bus here going to her little boarding school in Parkersburg. So there was like a gas station in Ripley. I was just going to be some deliverance reenactment up in here. You know what I mean? That's what I thought. I thought I got to act real macho up here. And man, I came here and this was weirder than New Orleans, you know. That's what and we'll call that diversity, but it's a strange bunch, you know what I mean. I've been here when the church groups are here looking at us like, what the hell, you know. And they're praying too, like what's going on? And my perception's broken. You know, now I know that the more leather and colors you got on, boy, the softer you are on the inside. They're the sweetest people I've ever met. Boy, the louder the hog, the bigger the heart, and it's a trip. And these little soft-looking guys like me are the big old, yeah. You guys support me like crazy. They threw me up there. I'm speaking with an addict that had almost 30 years, and I had like 2 years. I'm at a campground out here, and boy, they're loving on me. Nobody loves me like y'all love me. I'm like, whew. And I get to do it at the world level. I'm going to my 4th World Convention here, and I'm just like, and I don't care about the politics and the hierarchy. I'm talking about addicts coming together from Japan and Australia, and then just like coming here, I see the same ones again. You know, talk about that spirit of identification, that spirit of unity that I got with you people here. There's some of you people here that just you being here, it means the world to me. And the ones that aren't here, I'm hoping they're doing all right, and I hope they come back. But then it's not the same if we're not all here. And just like they say in some circles, pay attention to the circle. Due to the deadly nature of the disease, the circle might never be the same again, even tomorrow night. you know. So I cherish this. My heroes I was talking about are people that stay. My heroes are the people that keep coming back no matter what, relapse or not, you know. But that clean time is a big deal to me. If there wasn't people with continuous clean time, then the book would be kind of like bullshit. Like, oh, well, never have we seen an addict relapse, so what? So none of us live in the, you know, somebody please hold it down for us. Somebody please keep the light on for me. And please let me do that for somebody else, you know. I was talking about what I think is my gift, and this is first and foremost in my life. I'm not here to get a degree. I'm not here to get rich. I've got everything I need. I've been blessed. But I was reading some of those service booklets about home groups, and they have a greeter. Well, I don't know of any meeting in greater Cincinnati area that has a greeter that goes up and hugs you. And sometimes that seems fake because they're like, someone's telling them to do it, go hug everybody, and they're all awkward, one-arm hugs. And I'm like, who are you, the one-armed man? Give me a fucking hug. They're like this, you know, the little sideways thing. It's like, you're not that cute. But it's on my spirit. My sponsor says those newcomers keep you clean. So I'm surrounded with newcomers all the time. I'm with a 16-year-old man here that's got 79 days clean today. I can see, it's almost like, I feel like guilty, like vicarious living, but I can see your life, if you get this now, what your life's going to be like when you're my age. You'll be some 60 years clean or something. I would have 26 years clean if I would have got this when it was offered to me. I mean, what? I'm telling my age right now, too. You're not going to hear this much. You got it on tape, too. But that I don't keep track of this, but people get up on these stages and say, I remember coming to my first meeting, and that motherfucker there gave me my first hug or my first ride or my first $16 coffee or my first basic text. I'm like, fuck. And I try to keep it selfless. I'm not, you know, like I said, I gotta be honest here. You know, sometimes it's selfish, but I try to keep it selfless. You know, even the addicts that don't know how to bathe yet and stuff, I need to take them in the car. You know, I was blessed with these things. I got God's money. This is Pay It Forward program. None of this shit's mine. I'm so grateful that I get to outlive my parents. I lost a brother 20 years ago. Maybe this is the time I can cry about it, because I haven't shed one tear about it, because we've never found his body. In February, it'll be 20 years. And my mom lost a baby. And for years, she was so upset about not seeing him or having some closure. And now, through her recovery and stuff, she's grateful for that, because she didn't know if she could have taken that. So we just got to just keep him, hold him up and keep him alive. But we know he's deceased. You know, he had what we had, but he was a paranoid schizophrenic. He was very troubled, and unlike me, he didn't have a bad bone in his body. He was a total sweetheart, and he was a seeker, and I don't know what he found, but he's gone. And to think of how many years, 14 years after this has happened to my mother, that I'm walking around with a loaded 44 in my mouth, playing Russian roulette all those years, all that, you know, like great, you know. I did nothing but love these kids. I got one that's missing, I got one that's playing suicide. And I kept trying that, kept seeking that, kept doing those combinations that would kill you. And my dad, I'm a mama's boy now because that's all I got, but I'm a daddy's boy. And I hurt him so bad. I did damage. All he would talk about is these 2 checks I wrote. I said, I had taken from you since, theft by deception. I got fines to pay. I got this court cost. It was always something. I had rug burn on my elbows from crawling in his bedroom at night. And then I justified. I said, well, he was drinking. His money's all mismatched. I'm going to take as much as I want. I called it going to the Cabbage Patch. I felt entitled to do that to him, and I got honest with him about how much theft it was. It wasn't those 2 checks. But he's an Irish Catholic, beer drinking. He was a big engineer, left a legacy in these high-rise buildings, did a lot of stuff in his life, but he was from the school where pull up your bootstraps and get a job and quit hanging around those losers. And how are you going to get help from these losers? The drug addicts. You know, you need to get, old thinking, But it was a hard amends to make. I made amends when he was in a hospice state, and he stayed around for a while. And his father was a quarterback for Notre Dame, and I'm like a frequent flyer on the court record. My cousin is a judge, and I was in the courthouse all the time with these the disregard for society and stuff. I had so many law enforcement, court interaction. It was a real disgrace. I disgraced my family. I was with him when he took his last breath. That medicine was there. I wasn't looking at that. There's money there. I wasn't looking at that. And the months prior to that, I got to bring him his favorite foods, sit with him. He was gruff. If you've ever had anybody go from cancer, that chemo, can be really kind of ugly. And then he would apologize, and I see him cry. I got to watch that twice a child that we get to experience if we live our whole life. I got to experience that with him. But I'd get him alone sometimes. He was in the hospital and back at home. I was bedside in the hospital, and I'd go up there after the meeting. There was a meeting in the same hospital, which was pretty cool. And I said, "Hi, Dad." And he'd say, "Oh, hi, how are you doing?" And I'd say, "I'm doing good. I'm just here to tell you that I love you. And I'll take this." But this is all he would say. He'd say, "Thank you very much." That's all I could get back. But I know he loved me. My mom's little sister, she's Miss Busybody. She loved to call and tell everybody I was in jail again. And she's the real savior. But she would call him and he would weep to her. This man didn't cry. He was an engineer, but he was a pipeliner in college. He thought he was a hard ass, a pipeliner. It's like, you're wearing a suit, dude. But it was really, I got to give him 4.5 years clean. And guess what? Continuous clean time is the gift that keeps on giving. I'm going to do that. I'm going to honor that. Honor is not in our steps, but they talk about spiritual principles. Honor is something I do. Boy, I do that like I do a first step. I do that hard. I honor that kid that died in his parents' house. I honor that addict that died 24 years clean, who left me with a service commitment I really didn't want. Sometimes I should be my own area, the amount of friggin' things they want me to do. But the same addict that said stay also said when Narcotics Anonymous asks you to do something, it's not a question. And I say no only if it's not practical, like they say. But boy, I've got nothing more important to do. This is what I do. My mom, Mother's Day, and today all is well. But some of you are my little internet friends. I'm not going to plug the big center of the universe there, the little ego book, but a lot of you keep touch with me. I come here, they're like, "How's your mom?" I'm like, wow, that's technology's in our favor in recovery. It is, all that connection. I was taught by an addict that I don't think she's sticking around, but she stayed around for a while, and she taught me something. She said, if you think of somebody twice, you should probably send them a message. That's like, well, that's cool. Maybe I should. So I try to do that. But my mom's on dialysis. She was in intensive care over Thanksgiving, and I'm an addict. We already had her buried, and she was in really bad shape. And her blood pressure, even on a drip, they couldn't get it under 220. She's real tiny, and she was in pain, and she was like dementia kind of stuff from the infection. She's had all these complications with this dialysis, which is a very unnatural process. It is life support in a sense, and it's the extreme. That's the last extreme she's willing to go to. And then my life's been a roller coaster. I've been doing stuff capable. It talks about in the book, like capable of tasks that are beyond anything I can do. The stuff that I'm doing, I take no credit for it. It's that spirit of you guys loving me and holding me up and reminding me that it's going to be okay. Because I see the end. I see I won't have a family and all this bullshit I tell myself, and I got you guys. That's why I need you to stay here. I don't want to be an older member that will say, yeah, I just don't really mess with newcomers. I don't have time for all that drama and chaos. Well, I do. You know, I got it in my spirit. I can do some of that because I'm connected to the cartel, like I said. I can go out and I can do this. I don't want to be hardened. I didn't come to recovery to get thick-skinned. I want to stay vulnerable. I want you all to be willing to let people break my heart instead of clamming up because the guy that was here with me last year hugging me dead, you know. I don't want to do that. That would be the disease taking over, dampening my spirit again. I'm trying to do the next right thing. That same addict said, what your prayer should be, this is Brendon reporting for duty. That's my prayer. And there was an addict here who shared that helped write our literature that said, let your life be your prayer. Boy, that stuck with me. Like, boy, that's what it is. Not, I was something out there, do this for me. It's like, give me whatever this juice is you're giving me and let me give it away. You know, let me give so freely what was so freely given to me. And my higher power, let me just call it unconditional love. And you can put that in different churches and whatever it is. But I'm talking about that spirit of unconditional love that is given to me here. And it only multiplies when I give it away, you know. And I'm so grateful. You know, it's not about the podium. It's not about the writing stuff. It's about the walk. And we stumble and we falter. But the stuff that newcomers keep me doing is I can't tell them to do something that I did in 2004. I got to tell them, let's do this together. You want to do 90-90? Hell yeah. I don't care what movie's coming out. I've seen 6 movies since I've been clean. I go out and dance sometimes, but I don't do much. My life is Narcotics Anonymous. And when this is over, and I might be down because this is over, my sponsor will say, well, junkie, what do you got in the cooker? And I'll say, well, I got a room in Holt in the fall, and I'm going to the world, and I might go to Tar Hollow next weekend for a minute, but my work knows it's these 2 conventions and the world every 2 years, or you can let me go. That's what I'm doing. That's all I do. You know, my vacations are Narcotics Anonymous. I'm glad they go to some pretty cool spots, too. And going to these meetings, that identification, wherever we are. Talking about my heroes again, that one guy that I robbed and cycloned through his life and stuff, he lived in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and didn't speak any Portuguese. And he went to a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, and that spirit, he got what he needed there. Not even speaking the language. I go to a meeting actively open, not in a text message, and I'm capable of that, or not doing something else, but being there, and that spirit, it's wordless, you know. He knew 2 words, poder, superior, and he knew sponsor. Higher power and sponsor, he knew he was in the right place. And then he learned the language, and it's like, it's like that. That's the spirit of recovery. It's not like, oh, you got to speak, I only speak this language or this dialect. No, it's something that happens here, and it's not here if we don't bring it. You know, I have to be the atmosphere of recovery. I have to live the program. But 90 meetings in 90 days. I went to a meeting every day for 6 years, and that's not you know, because that's what I do. Narcotics Anonymous meetings. You know, that's what my guys all do, and that's what we do. You know, if there's not enough cute chicks in Narcotics Anonymous, we'll go to the gym and draw them here. You know, not have to go anywhere else to get laid. You know, going somewhere else for that's probably the way out of here. You know, lost a lot of friends here. Lost a lot of beautiful people here that had some clean time that were, you know, I'm hyper vigilant in this, you know. Now, one thing that I lost in active addiction, and it's different for me maybe than other people, is I lost the desire to use when I got here. I was done, and I was just willing to do whatever it took to stay clean. And there's an addict here, another one of my heroes, who watched me for 17 years of his recovery to sit still and get 30 honest days, you know. And now when I'm asked to speak somewhere, he'll go to hell and high water, and he's sitting here right now, you know. And they're not just here for me; they're here because this is where they get it. And this is a monkey see, monkey do program, you know. I'm not going to sign up with the guy who does all this stuff and not do any of it myself. You know, I've got to be willing to do what they do. You know, when people ask me to be there, I've sponsored a lot of people, and I've got some guys that are here right now that are, man, they are so on it. They've stepped my game up. They have more friends in NA than I do. They actually hang out with them, and, you know, man, all in, and that's what I try to be. They really have no idea how much they owe me, and check me and shit. I'm sharing a step and a tradition with my sponsor, and I'll be bringing my sponsor some step, and that my sponsees will say, "Well, aren't you supposed to have a tradition with that too?" I'm like, "Fuck," little shit like that. Mind your own business. To get to see leopards change their spots, to get to see whores become housewives, to get to see backwood Kentucky people become attorneys, to get to see mothers get their mothers become mothers again, to see grandmothers becoming grandmothers again instead of parents again from the disease of addiction. I see people come to life. I see people. It is. That's that connection, you know. Because in the end of my addiction, I wanted to fit in. I wanted to hang out. I wanted to be at the show. I wanted to be on tour. I wanted to do this and that. At the end, all I wanted was to be left alone. At the end, I was thinking out there, all those cigarette butts. I would take cigarette butts out of public ashtrays because I didn't want to spend any of that money on that shit. I had money my money was already spent, and I wanted to be left alone. And maybe Mom would keep me from burning the house down. I had a judge call me a sociopath on the court record, and she's now a friend of mine. Like, she hugs me when she sees me, and I didn't complete her program. I got here when God wanted me to get here. Hospitals and institutions, that's for me. That's what I do, is H&I. I don't have some of the gifts to do the things that people do at the area level. I can fight. Yeah. That might be all I could bring to area. But hospitals and institutions, let me tell you why. It's about giving it the way that they gave it to me. And some of this stuff's like parenthood too. It's like, well, maybe we sponsor like we were sponsored, or maybe we sponsor like we wish we were sponsored, kind of like that. You know, it's a little creative freedom, you know, and different people got different needs, and I'm willing to figure out that and go that extra mile to just bring people in, not into me, into we. Most of them people I try to love up into here, they go their own way and find their own. I love it, you know, because that'll give me more time to meet the next scared to death person, the fractured person, the scared person, the confused person that doesn't think that they can do this yet, doesn't think they're done yet, you know. Come to Narcotics Anonymous on one substance and hear old people like me talking about another and think that might be the ticket. Guess what? It's all, the elevator's only going down, you know, and in here it just keeps getting better. Whew. Hospitals and institutions, those people that brought that message to me in there, the panel members and the chairs, they're still in Narcotics Anonymous. They still do H&I. They're still here. So maybe if I do that, I might stick around too. Every person that I sponsor, every person that's still even in detox meds and in that, you know, shitting themselves in the detox and stuff, I'll count that meeting and I'll say there's 12 more reasons why I don't pick up. Those sponsees, I just cannot, in my mind, right, in my heart right now, think of using drugs when there's people counting on me. I can't do it. I take this shit seriously. That's an appointment from God. Only second to that is to be Uncle Brendon. Man, I love that shit. Animals and kids, I wish y'all loved me like they did. I'm a big fucking kid, you know. And I love that. That's the best thing I could be. You know, these girls are in this treatment center that I met at this anniversary meeting this week, and this girl's got this little boy. He doesn't know any father. You know, I gave her my number. Please call me. You know, I like to be Uncle Brendon because I don't have to discipline anybody. I get to spoil people, you know? I love that. But I haven't seen her, but I like being able to be that guy, to be that positive male role model, you know, which it's not who I was, it's who I've become through Narcotics Anonymous. Before I close and go on my ride home and think about all the things that I wish I would have said, I'd like to talk about this convention here, and I really try to almost dope fiend people to come down here. I'm like, you need to please come, and come more than once. Because if I could, you know, I said the words, I can't express the feeling that I get here. I say, if I could bottle up my entire recovery, all the good, the bad, and whatever, the love, the unconditional love, the spirit of recovery, that fire that keeps the desire to stay here so strong. I mean, I've never slacked on being a part of this, and it's from coming here, getting that juice, getting your batteries charged. If I could bottle this up and just give it away, this is it. This is, for me, this is like I'm ready to buy a timeshare and move on down here. And you people that I don't even have, you know, I'm glad they have name tags, because I know your spirit, I know your soul, I love you. You're part of my quilt over there, but I don't even have most of your phone numbers. I'm not your Facebook friend or whatever, but you mean so much to me. And to see you again in 6 months, I mean that with everything, that I need you right now, because this is probably the last Mother's Day I'm going to get to spend with my mom, and I need you people to please keep coming back, and please keep loving me the way you have, like nobody else has. I love y'all. Thanks for letting me share.